We all value our work, but there are times when offering a really low price has more advantages than disadvantages. I'm going to tell you about a little cheap voiceover trick that will give you an instant leg up on your competition coming up.
3, 2, 1.
Studio Takes. Real help for the aspiring voiceover artist.
And I'm Dane Scott from thegigdoctor.com, top-rated Fiverr seller. And today I'm going to give you a new way to look at your pricing that could make all the difference on Fiverr. It has to do with cheap voiceovers and how and when to offer them. Speaking of cheap, at the end today, I'm going to give you the inside track on my most popular Fiverr course called Climbing the Fiverr Ladder. So stick around till the very end for that. Actually, let me keep with the course thing for just a minute because it actually has a very good tie-in with today's topic. I used to charge anywhere from $99 to I think closer to $200 for my courses, but then I discovered something. I can actually make more on them by selling them for peanuts than by putting a hefty price on them. Once I realized that marketing them differently through this discount approach that they use over on Udemy didn't hurt me, but actually it helped me, then I didn't mind so much the fact that I'd put all of this blood, sweat, and tears into putting the course together and then getting so little for each unit that was sold. After all, once you've put your course up over there, your work is basically done and everything is handled for you. So now all I need to do is just point people over there, as I do in these videos, and the rest takes care of itself. And the wonderful upside is that I can also help a lot more people this way, a lot more. And in many cases, I'm helping people who would not have been able to afford, $99 or $200 or whatever. So once I got my brain accustomed to this new way of thinking about things, it just made sense to me. I no longer felt like I was cheating myself or devaluing my work in some way by charging so much less for it. I was getting it into more hands, hopefully blessing a few lives, and making additional income every month in a very unattended and automatic way. Why do I bother to bring all that up? Because the crux of my video today is about using low pricing as a strategy. It's an emotional topic for voiceover people because the amount that they're paid for their work is a pride thing for them. Some came from an era where they were paid princely sums for their work. I can hold my hand up there. Some have found their way to fairly princely pay again on Fiverr as well, and I'm kind of on that trajectory myself at this stage. And it's not unusual for me to make hundreds of dollars in an hour or even 1,000 or more. But I'll still take cheap jobs too, and I'll explain the reasoning and when I'll do it in a sec. Before I go much further, I'm wondering if you can just quickly help me with something. Out of all the videos that I've done on YouTube, I can't remember the last time I saw a comment under any of them. So that means one of two things. Either that what I'm talking about isn't worth commenting on, or maybe, just maybe, I have inadvertently turned off comments somewhere in my settings. If it's that latter issue, I have not been able to find where I need to change that. So if you would just do me a little kindness, just take a moment, maybe even pause the video and just leave a comment, even if it's just "Hi, Dane." Beneath this video, I would be really appreciative. Also, please hit the bell to subscribe today so that you get these all the time, and hit the thumbs up if you feel like today's info has been really useful to you. Okay, how and under what circumstances should we be willing to do cheap voiceover work on Fiverr? Let me hit the obvious things first. One, maybe you're new to the platform, and selling inexpensively puts your gig in front of more people, and it helps you to get those initial orders that help boost you up on the platform. Two, you're inexperienced in voiceovers. Your skills are there to a degree, but you can still use lots of practice. At this stage, really being paid anything is just icing on the cake. You're essentially being paid to practice and to get better, and you can't beat that. And the third one, which is kind of the main crux today, is it can help you get new kites in the air. Let me talk about that last one a bit. Maybe you already have a gig that's doing fairly well for you, but then there's another category of voiceovers where you feel you'd be great. Maybe doing voiceovers of telephone messages or something. So you create a new gig. You've done all the right things with the demo and the wording of the gig and the gig image, and you've really set it up well. And now you just wait for it to show up in search, and it doesn't happen. It's on like the last page of search results, and it sits there like an abandoned puppy. It lies there like a kite on a dead, still day with no wind. And adding to your exasperation, you can see that there are some other gigs that aren't nearly as well designed as yours. They have nowhere near as good of a demo, and they're being found ahead of yours. What's the deal here, and what can you do about it? Well, you know how when you fly a kite, often you have to run with the kite for a while to create some draft and lift the kite higher. And once you run far enough with it, the kite is going to rise up high enough to catch some air current, and then it starts to climb on its own. When I was growing up, we had Lake Superior right near us, and once we got into what were called the Lake Superior air currents, whoosh, that kite would go right up out of sight. But you had to run to get clear, get it clear of the trees and the blockage of the air. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're using cheap voiceovers like running with the kite to help get it into the air. Let me set this up a little bit for you. Let's say someone contacts you and asks that you do a series of voiceovers for them for their YouTube channel. And each script is, say, 1,600 words long. And they are offering you a small amount of money to do it, maybe $25 or $30. So that's $30 for around 10 minutes of finished narration. And how long will it take for you to wrap that out? Well, at most, maybe a half hour, including editing and proofing, unless you're still developing your skills and everything takes a little longer. But let's say that you can do it in a half hour, 10 minutes in a half hour. So if you could do 2 of those in an hour, you'd be at somewhere between $50 and $60 an hour. Hey, that's a lot better than being a greeter at Walmart, right? So you work out a deal with them to do these voiceovers and insisting that if they want this great rate that you're going to give them, that they'll need to commit to doing them regularly for at least a month. So you're kind of locking them in and saying, okay, I'm willing to bend for you, but this is what I need from you. And you can do one other thing too. You can mention before the first order is placed that in return for helping you on price, you ask that they leave a review after the order has been delivered. And you can say it, kind of like that, and even say at the end, fair enough, ? And they'll most assuredly agree to that, especially if they're happy with you and the price that they're getting from you. But the time to ask is now, at the head end of this whole thing, before the relationship officially begins, so it becomes almost like one of the ground rules of the deal. Then you do this. When you receive that first script from them, you send them a custom offer, but you send the custom offer using that new gig of yours that's lying on the ground, the phone message gig or whatever it is, the one that's getting no traction so far. So in the offer, you simply can say, very honestly, in the text of your offer that you send them in that gig, you could say something like this. I'll quote this over here in my telephone message gig to help give it some extra exposure. And nobody ever complains about the fact that I quoted in a different gig than the one that maybe they inquired through. They couldn't care less, as long as they're getting the price that they want. Occasionally, if the gig is something very specialized, they might ask the first time out whether this is going to change what they're getting, and you can just reassure them that it won't, and that's it. All is well. Now, at the end of the order, they leave a rating and review for you. Everything's great there, too. Now, you send them the next custom offer, and they order their next gig, and they leave a rating and a review. And then they order another one, and so on and so on. And guess what? It works just like running with a kite. Suddenly, that neglected gig starts getting noticed by Fiverr's search engine more and more and more. I did this recently, proved it to myself big time. It not only worked a little, it literally took my gig from absolute obscurity to the front page only about 3 or 4 rows down from the top in just a couple weeks. So it works, it works, it works. Now, it's not necessary that the orders that you redirect over to your newly introduced gig be cheap ones. But, if you're still climbing the ladder on Fiverr, it probably is the easiest way to approach this thing, just to use the cheap gig approach because they're easier jobs to get earlier on Fiverr. Just funnel those custom offers over to the new gig one after another and watch how that kite just rises up through the ranks until it's way up there for you. Now, speaking of the whole climbing the ladder thing, that's what I want you to do. And there's no reason why you need to sit down there in the basement on Fiverr and be what I call sellers. By doing the right things in some very important areas, you can be advancing and making more and growing your monthly income. And let me tell you, Fiverr is a very good place to make money. I'll probably top $600,000 all-time sales on there this year. Now, what I've done is to take all the most important knowledge that I have and all the things that I'm doing and put them into a single course called Climbing the Fiverr Ladder, The Way Up. And I have it over on Udemy for practically free, not because it's of little value, but because, as I've talked about today, I'm taking a different approach to pricing with my courses these days. You know what the other people are charging for these things, and sometimes it's pretty painful. But you're going to get my best stuff, what's made me over $500,000 on Fiverr, for just a few dollars by clicking the link in the show notes from today. I know this got a little long today, and I appreciate you valued it enough to stick around to the end, so I'm going to make it extra worth your while here. So if you grab the course now, today, and send me a personal message through Facebook Messenger when you're done with it, I'm Dane Udenberg, Udenberg, over on Facebook. I will give you a copy of my book, Voiceover Mythbusters, where I reveal over a dozen things that the YouTube voiceover experts are misleading people about. And as a result, they're costing a lot of you guys a lot of wasted time and effort and money. So, again, if you click the link in the show notes, enjoy the course, and after completing it, just contact me through Facebook Messenger and request it. I will give you your own free copy of the Voiceover Mythbusters book. Thanks, gang. Keep watching. I've got a couple links here to other videos you can watch in the close of today's show, and I'll catch you next time.